The start of women's suffrage movement was ignited by the Seneca Falls Convention in 1848, where 300 men and women met to start working for women's rights, particularly for women's suffrage. The convention was organized by Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Lucretia Mott. It was here where he discussed social, civil, and religious rights of women. Elizabeth Cady Stanton composed the Declaration of Sentiments, a document declaring for the rights of women. The document was modeled after the Declaration of Independence. 68 women and 32 men signed the Declaration of Sentiments and adopted the resolutions.
Hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. The duty of the women of this country to secure to themselves the sacred right to elect a franchise.
The movement spread. Many women started talking about the convention and women's rights groups started forming.
The 14th Amendment of 1868 excluded women when it defined citizens and voters as men. The 15th Amendment of 1870 gave black men the right to vote but denied women the right to vote. This further encouraged women to fight for equality and the right to vote.
A women's rights convention was later held in Akron, Ohio in 1851. Here, a former slave, Sojourner Truth, delivered a speech, "Ain't I a Woman?" Her speech furthered the momentum of the movement.
That man over there says that women need to be helped into carriages and lifted over dishes and to have the best place everywhere. Nobody ever helps me into carriages or over mud puddles or gives me the best place. And ain't I a woman? Look at me, look at my arm. I have plowed and planted and gathered into barns and no man could head me. And ain't I a woman? I could work as much and eat as much as a man when I could get it and bear the lashes well. In the West, the Wyoming Territory had granted women the right to vote in 1869.
This place sure is lonely. Wyoming only has 1,000 women amongst us 6,000 men.
Yeah, I hear you. I wish there was some way to bring more women to live here. Having no women here is no good.
Honey, don't you think it's wrong that a woman like me can't vote?
Sister, but what do you mean? What can I do about it?
It's an unfair injustice. Women are just as important as men. It's not our right. Suffrage is the basic right of an American citizen. You're the Wyoming Territory legislator. You can help give women the right to vote.
Alright, I'll see what I can do about it. I have to leave to work now. Hey Edward, guess what my wife told me today?
Okay, tell me.
She wants me to grant women the right to vote here in Wyoming.
Hey, that's great. I've been working for that cause for a couple of years. My mother thinks the same way. I don't think it's right that my mother can't vote and blacks can vote.
We're both legislators. We should propose this to the other legislators and the governor. See what they think about it.
Well, I think that's a great idea. Think of all the publicity we'll get being the first to grant women the right to vote.
Yeah, that'll attract more women to come over here and live. I need a wife real bad. And ever since my mom died, no woman can make me good food anymore. I can't cook like a woman can. What do you say, Governor?
Free publicity and more women? That sounds good to me.
That year, in 1869, the 20-member territorial legislature approved the bill allowing all women over the age of 21 residing in the Wyoming Territory the right to vote. Even though most of Wyoming territorial legislators passed this law to get free publicity rather than gender equality, the Wyoming Territory was the first territory to grant women the right to vote. In 1890, when Wyoming was admitted as a state, it became the first state that allowed women to vote.
The National Women's Suffrage Association and the American Women's Suffrage Association were founded in 1869. Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton led the NWSA. The organization saw the 14th and 15th Amendments as injustice to women. The NWSA also advocated for other issues like equal education and equal employment. The chief goal was to establish women's suffrage in the Constitution.
Lucy Stone and Julia Ward Howe led the AWSA, and they worked for individual states to grant voting for women.
This organization was more conservative to the NWSA.
One noteworthy women's suffrage activist was Susan B. Anthony, the daughter of a Quaker. In 1872, she and other women voted in a presidential election in Rochester, New York.
Good day, gentlemen. We would like to register as voters today.
No, get out of here. You are women. You can't vote.
Excuse me, sir. The 14th Amendment says that all persons born and naturalized in the United States are citizens of the United States. And as citizens, we are entitled to privileges of citizens. And that includes voting, sir.
So?
If you refuse us our rights as citizens, I will bring charges against you in criminal court, and I will sue each and every one of you personally. I know I can win. I have Judge Selden as a lawyer. I will push to the last ditch in both courts.
I say you let them register. Do you know the penalty of law if you refuse to register these names? Fine!
Dear Mrs. Stanton, well, I have been and gone and done it, positively voted the Republican ticket, straight this AM at 7 o'clock, and swore my vote in at that, registered on Friday. Then on Sunday, some 20 or 30 other women tried to register, but all save 2 were refused. I hope the morning's telegrams will tell of many women all over the country trying to vote.
On November 18, 1872, Susan B. Anthony was arrested for voting illegally in violation of Section 9 of the Enforcement Act of 1870. She was sent to trial.
This was a major change for women's suffrage. Women realized they had the possibility for voting. It was at this trial, United States versus Susan B. Anthony, where Susan B. Anthony made the most famous speech in women's suffrage history.
Laws made by men, under a government of men, interpreted by men, for the benefit of men. The only chance women have for injustice in this country is to violate the law, as I have done, and I shall continue to do. My natural rights, my civil rights, my political rights, my judicial rights are all alike ignored. Robbed of my fundamental privilege of citizenship, I am degraded from the status of a citizen to that of a subject. And not only myself individually, but of all my sex, are, by your honor's verdict, doomed to political subjection under this so-called form of government. I shall earnestly and persistently continue to urge all women to the practical recognition of old revolutionary maxim, that resistance to tyranny is obedience to God.
Susan B. Anthony used her trial as a political gain for the women's suffrage movement. The trial brought immense worldwide attention to Susan B. Anthony and the women's suffrage movement.
In 1833, the Washington Territory gave full suffrage to women. The women used their votes to try to abolish alcohol. Prohibition was also a movement during this time, run mainly by women. In 1888, the territorial courts ruled the suffrage law of women unconstitutional.
In Colorado, women's suffrage was passed on November 7, 1893. Caroline Churchill founded Denver's earliest women's rights newspaper in 1879, called the Colorado Antelope, later called Queen Bee.